Welcome back to Lying Around with Earl, where we bring stories to life, one chapter at a time. Today, we continue with Chapter 11 of Banjo Strings and Anvil Rings. Chapter 11 Mo. The barn buzzed with life, the hum of conversation and laughter filling every corner like the steady hum of a hive. Mo Rapsity leaned against a wooden beam near the stage, his guitar resting lightly in his hands. The warm, earthy scent of freshly strewn hay mingled with the sharper tang of lantern oil, and the occasional burst of cool night air from the open barn doors was a welcome respite from the crowded warmth within. Outside, the quiet rhythm of crickets blended into the music, a harmony unique to the rolling hills and deep valleys of West Virginia. Mo's tall, wiry frame cast a long shadow in the flickering lamplight. His dark skin gleamed faintly with a sheen of sweat from the earlier set, and his calloused fingers idly brushed the strings of his guitar, teasing out a melody as he watched the crowd. His easy grin softened the sharp angles of his face, and his posture, relaxed but alert, spoke to a man who understood the ebb and flow of a gathering. The barn's interior was a kaleidoscope of movement. Couples spun and twirled across the wooden dance floor, their boots stomping in time to Fidellas Sheppard's steady bass line. Fidellas stood tall and sturdy near the back of the makeshift stage, his hands effortlessly commanding the rhythm. Curley Whitfield, as precise as ever, drew his bow across the fiddle strings with intense focus, the music sharp and clear. Curley, perched on the edge of the stage, was the opposite, grinning wide, his banjo perched just right as he led the tune with playful flourishes. He winked and nodded at the dancers, tossing out sly remarks between songs. Mo shook his head, chuckling quietly. Always the showman, he muttered under his breath, strumming a soft chord. The song ended with a flourish, the crowd erupting into cheers and whistles. Curley hopped down from the stage, his movements light and unhurried. Mo's eyes followed him, noting that Curley seemed to have a particular destination in mind. His steps carried him toward a pair of young women standing near the refreshments table, a petite strawberry blonde in a modest blue dress, and her taller auburn-haired companion. Making friends already, Fidellas remarked, his deep voice carrying a note of dry amusement as he watched Curley weave through the crowd. Mo leaned back against the beam, his grin widening. Wouldn't be Curley if he didn't. You think he even knows their names? Fidellas asked, plucking a low note on the bass. Doubt it, Mo replied. But that's never stopped him before. Curley approached the Stevens sisters with his usual confidence, his grin broad as he tipped his hat to them. Mo couldn't hear the words exchanged, but the petite one, Alice, if he'd overheard correctly earlier, seemed to hold her own against Curley's charm. Her posture was straight, her hands neatly folded, but there was a flicker of a smile that softened her initial reserve. The older sister, Grace, watched the interaction with a sharp, assessing gaze, her arms crossed as though she were measuring Curley's worth from the outset. Well, he's off to a decent start, Fidellas observed. Depends on what you mean by decent, Mo replied, his tone light. If she's smart, she'll make him work for it. Fidellas chuckled, his tall frame barely moving as he adjusted his bass. That one looks like she might. Curley returned to the stage a few minutes later, his grin still intact, but with a hint of something thoughtful behind it. Mo raised an eyebrow as Curley leaned his banjo case against the wall. Make a good impression? Mo asked, his voice calm but laced with curiosity. Curley shrugged, though his grin never faltered. Nice girls. The younger one's got a quick wit. What's her name? Fidellas asked, his tone teasing. Alice, Curley said, plucking a string on his banjo. And the older one's Grace. Mo exchanged a glance with Fidellas, his grin faint. Learned their names and everything. I'm impressed. Curley laughed, unbothered. A man's got to start somewhere, doesn't he? Mo strummed a playful tune, his calloused fingers moving effortlessly over the strings. Just remember, Curley, not everyone's going to fall for that charm of yours right away. Who says I'm trying to make her fall for anything? Curley replied lightly, though there was a flicker of defensiveness in his tone. Fidellas tilted his head, his gaze steady but kind. Maybe not. But you've got a way of making an impression whether you mean to or not. Curley shrugged again, his grin softening. She seemed nice, that's all. Figured it couldn't hurt to say hello. Mo nodded, satisfied with the response. Fair enough. Just keep your head on straight, Curley. New town, new faces, don't go getting yourself tangled up. Curly smirked, but didn't argue, instead tuning his banjo as the crowd settled for the next set. The barn buzzed with anticipation, the energy palpable as the band launched into another lively tune. Mo let the music carry him, his fingers finding familiar chords as the rhythm of the night swept through the room. Whatever happened next, Mo trusted that time, and a little music would keep things in balance. And that was Chapter 11 of Banjo Strings and Anvil Rings. If you love storytelling and history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a chapter. See you next time.